What's your favorite exercise and why? As a powerlifter, you might expect me to answer that question with one of the big three: the squat, bench press, deadlift. And don't get me wrong, I love all three of those exercises, always have. Although there are some days where if you were to tell me I never had to do another low bar squat again, I would probably celebrate. But the Romanian deadlift has always held a special place in my heart. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about why. Reason number one, it trains everything. Well, almost everything on the back of your body. The hamstrings, the glutes, the spinal erectors, the lats, the upper back. Every single one of these muscle groups gets a lot of stimulus from the Romanian deadlift. And it hits them all in a way that I don't really personally get out of even very similar exercises, at least not just the same way. It can train your grip as well, but a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and mine is almost invariably my grip, so I would personally rather not let that hold me back from training all the rest of those muscle groups. So I strap up every single time, and you should not feel ashamed of having to do that yourself. And if you happen to be feeling this exercise in your low back, congrats! Your low back is a muscle group too, and it deserves training just like everyone else. That said, if you're feeling it more in your low back than in your glutes and your hamstrings, then you might want to lighten the load up a little bit and continue to develop your technique, since you don't necessarily want your low back to be what's holding you back, similar to the reason why I don't want my grip to be holding me back. Ultimately, glutes and hammies are the primary focus of the RDL. It just happens to be a great stimulus for all the rest of those muscles along the chain. As loads get heavier, I've even gotten a pump in my lats from time to time from doing this. That lat activation is primarily going to be coming from really trying your best to keep the bar from drifting away from your shins. If that is a difficult cue for you, I recommend incorporating some straight arm push down work or pullovers. Not only will this help you feel your lats a little bit more in this exercise, but more importantly, it will allow you to move as efficiently as possible so that you can lift a bit more weight and get more stimulus on those main movers. Reason number two, the stretch. Since more and more research is showing that training muscles in lengthened positions is probably the most effective stimulus for hypertrophy, picking an exercise that prioritizes loading those lengthened positions is probably a safe bet for most people. The stretch at the bottom of the movement on those hamstrings is quite potent, and for that reason I've actually used this exercise as a primary movement for clients whose focus at the time was actually on flexibility, since if you're going to try to get more flexible anyway, you may as well get jacked in the process. My only caution here, again, if you're pushing for more depth, make sure that depth is coming from pushing your hips back, not just reaching the bar down. The result could be a little bit more loading in the low back again, and speaking from experience, if you're doing that unexpectedly, your low back might be a little upset with you. So remember, hips back, not bar down. And reason number three, it gets you strong as fuck! In general, I think everyone should train some type of deadlift movement. Picking something off the floor is an inevitable movement that you're going to be doing in your day-to-day life. So it makes a lot of sense to dedicate training to that movement pattern. Of course, you can do this with a more conventional or trap bar deadlift off the ground, but if I could only choose one thing that really emphasizes just that hip hinge pattern, just that bending over, the Romanian deadlift is it for me. The need to brace super hard while doing this is also for me a feature, since that will likely mean that it has good carryover to your other free weight type movements. And that practice of just keeping your trunk stable under loads while bent over, I mean, that's the kind of thing that we do planks for, right? All the time in my programming. I put that work in. I set that time aside for sure. So that's why RDLs are my favorite exercise. What's your favorite? Comment below with your answer. I would love to hear your reasoning why. For a thorough breakdown of the technique of the Romanian deadlift, I highly recommend Jeff Nippard's video on the topic specifically, and I will link to it in the doobly-doo below. In the meantime, please subscribe if you haven't already. My channel is just a little baby, and every single view counts. And that includes yours. So thanks so much for watching, and go get friggin' strong.